The Plenary Council is the highest formal gathering of all the local churches across the country, so that we can dialogue about the future of the Catholic Church in Australia. This journey has taken place over several years in order to give the Catholic community time to listen, discuss and discern with one another about the future, the role and the relevance of our church in Australia. We discussed the process and the journey with our Plenary Council members from the Diocese of Parramatta.
The Plenary Council, in a sense, is a bit like a church's parliament. That is, that representatives that represent the face of the church, both ordained and lay and members of consecrated life, come together to discuss matters that are of importance to the life and mission of the church.
It's an opportunity for the Australian Church to come together and to discern its directions for the future.
It's these conversations on where are we and where do we want to go. And it's made by, as the name will say, plenary, by pretty much representations from different parts of the church, clergy and lay people.
People are involved in small community groups and larger groups, and there's a lot of spirit moving in people's hearts and minds. It's just been fantastic to get people exercised in this way about the church in Australia.
Due to COVID protocols over the past 2 years, plans to gather together physically were abandoned and the first National Assembly took place digitally instead, with groups all around Australia gathering online and connecting in this new virtual space.
It was a challenge, just try to read what people were thinking on, their body language, speech, and that was a huge challenge.
I had grave reservations that it wouldn't work, and it shows that the Holy Spirit can work even through modern technology, because it worked very effectively and much better than any of us thought.
We discussed and raised a whole series of issues that had been provided from listening to the Spirit over the previous years, and they were ultimately discerned into 8 specific topics. And then within those specific topics, in the last couple of months, the guiding team, the Plenary Council team, has determined a series of motions, about 30 motions, which will be voted upon by the delegates.
Though the first assembly was very successful online, Sydney will be welcoming plenary members from across Australia to gather in person for the second assembly from the 3rd to the 9th of July this year. The members have now had several months to read through and pray with the framework for motions, which was established following the discernment of the first assembly.
The second Plenary Council session will be mainly about discussing and approving or passing those motions.
We'll be meeting daily in St Mary's Cathedral College Hall, and that is where the actual in-person sessions will be held. And so therefore the experience this time will be very different, because we will all be together.
And this process is giving us a chance to have a conversation that we talk about what kind of church we want to build for the future.
So it's basically we're voting on the motions, which will determine then where the church will be in Australia once the decrees or the acts of the council have been approved by the Pope.
It's pretty amazing if you look at the list again of the delegates who must be called, which are the bishops and the vicars, and the people who can be called, and they've actually managed to call lay people, and they've actually managed to call me. I'm representing the people of God in Australia, so as much as the bishop is. We'll just be there with our hearts, minds, souls and gathered wisdom and apply to the task.
That's my only hope, is that we can learn to listen to one another and to reach some point of agreement as to what the priorities are as the church continues its mission in the world.
In the days leading up to the second assembly, we will learn about the challenges and the hopes of more of our members, as well as what the wider community in the Diocese of Parramatta can do to support our members in the process. Join us as we walk in the Spirit, journeying towards the second assembly of the Plenary Council in Australia.